This is huge. With acquisitions like this being made, with what seems to be corporate mergings, and with sales going through the roof year over year over year over year, this is going to shake up the precious metal world as early as the next couple of weeks. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another video. Hope you're doing well, feeling great, and staying safe. It's a great day to have a great day. Today, I wanted to talk about some big, important news for silver and also gold regarding APMEX Precious Metals acquisition of JM Bullion. But really quick, just in case you're new, make sure to subscribe for daily videos. Also subscribe to my second channel, which is my backup channel for exclusive weekly content. Brand new video over there, go check it out. The link will be in the description. And if you want to get some DYDSS merchandise to help support the channel, I would really appreciate it. Any and all merchandise can be found by clicking the first link in the description section down below. Thank you in advance, it's more than appreciated. But today, we don't have to talk about the spot price of silver. We don't have to talk about certain coins, rounds, or bars. We got to talk about the precious metal dealing websites out there, the precious metal companies and corporations. And I don't know how many of you remember this, but I talked about in late 2019, I believe it was October of 2019, JM Bullion acquired Provident Metals. Most people are well aware of that. Some of you, I'm sure, maybe had no idea, but that's what occurred in 2019. JM Bullion acquired Provident Metals. Well, as of today, what I learned anyway, and then, surprise, surprise, came onto YouTube, and Sal of Metal was the first one to talk about it. He always beats me to the punch, and if Sal talked about it, it's got to be true. So I wanted to talk about this today, and before I hit record, I had to do a little bit of research. I had to read through certain articles. I had to read through certain information. I had to read through certain financial statements just to get a better understanding of exactly what's going on. And as it turns out, yes, JM Bullion acquired Provident Metals in late 2019, but now APMEX Precious Metals is acquiring JM Bullion. And this is really big news. It's a little too early to tell if it's good news or if it's bad news, but it's definitely news. And I thought it was something that would make for an interesting topic of discussion today. So the deal is expected to officially close this quarter, aka sometime before the end of next month. Only about maybe 6 weeks left until the deal is officially closed, and it's already about to close to begin with. But what's interesting about this deal is that from what I read, it is to, quote, acquire the remaining 79.5% of the issued and outstanding shares of JM Bullion not currently owned by APMEX. I don't know for sure, but that tells me that APMEX already had a position with JM Bullion. Did they already own 20.5%? I'm not exactly sure, but that is kind of what it seems. Now, for those of you interested in learning how much money was involved in this acquisition, or should I say how much currency was involved in this acquisition, well, for the remaining 79.5% of JM Bullion, APMEX is forking over $138.3 million. That's a lot of cash. That's huge numbers right there. And what's interesting is that JM Bullion's CEO and chairman will be joining APMEX's board of directors. So even though it's an acquisition from company to company, on the corporate side, it seems like they're almost merging in a way. I don't know if that's exactly what's going on, but that is what it seems, because both the CEO and the chairman will be moving on over to APMEX's board of directors. I thought that was pretty interesting. I thought that was something that a lot of these articles haven't been covering too much about. I mean, maybe they briefly mention it, but I don't think anybody has gone too far into detail regarding that. The next thing I want to talk about is that JM Bullion's 2020 financial statements are released, and we got a little bit of a look to see what's going on with the money website, the silver and gold precious metal money website. Cool, money website. How much currency is involved? How much fiat is there to talk about? Well, hey, really quick, I interrupt this video to let you know I am going to be going live in the VIP club tonight around 8 or 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, depending on what time this video gets out. Link in the description if you want to join, and it's not just live streams, it's also giveaways, discounts, personalized promo codes, and a bunch of other stuff. It's a lot cooler than YouTube, trust me. If we take a look at the financial statements, we can see that in 2020, JM Bullion's net sales totaled $1.49 billion with a B. Huge amount of cash, huge amount of currency, huge amount of fiat. Gross profits were $78.9 million and pre-tax income was $62.2 million. That's a lot of cash. I don't know how many of you remember this. If you're subscribed to my channel and watch my videos, you probably do remember this, or at least you should, because I say it all the time. When it comes to these massive online precious metal dealing websites, you should not put them side by side, or you should not view them as synonymous to your local coin shop, but a digital version of your local coin shop. These are not local coin shops. This is not a little silver and gold dealing website. These are massive corporations. These are huge companies with these massive board of director, corporate executives involved, suit and tie guys. When I say in my videos that if you take your dollars away from certain websites, they don't care, because they know that after you, there are millions of other people in line. And that's going to be the next point I'm going to be making, the next thing I wanted to cover really quick. But I wanted to share that because I thought it was pretty important. A lot of people think that they go to these websites and they're viewed as maybe somewhat of a friend. No, you are not viewed as a friend. You are viewed as a customer. Now, moving on over to the next point that I wanted to talk about, if we actually look more into the statement, scroll further and further down, we can see that JM Bullion had a total of 1.3 million total users. Now, it doesn't exactly specify what they mean by a total user, but one would probably be correct to assume that a user means those who have accounts with the JM Bullion website, aka customers. 1.3 million customers, which is up approximately 30% year over year, with the purchases made on their websites up approximately 70% year over year. Processed orders up approximately 80% year over year. This is huge. With acquisitions like this being made, with what seems to be corporate mergings, and with sales going through the roof year over year over year over year, this is going to shake up the precious metal world as early as the next couple of weeks. Considering that the deal is officially going to be closed and officially going to be settled this quarter of this year, we're already halfway through the quarter. We only have till the end of March when this is going to take place, or officially settle, I should say. It's already taking place. But I wanted to talk about this because it's unclear whether or not this is good news or bad news, or if it's not good news or bad news. Maybe it's just news. Maybe it's not going to affect us in the slightest bit. Hey, so I'm editing the video right now, and I just wanted to add in this quick little point that I forgot to mention while filming. Even though I don't personally view this acquisition as anything that's necessarily or inherently a bad thing, I've always appreciated having choices. I've always appreciated having options with who I want to shop with. I've never been that big of a fan of the idea of a bunch of different companies all being owned by or having the same parent company or all being underneath the same umbrella. I was never a big fan of that. I actually appreciate the competition, and I know that companies don't like to compete, they like to dominate. But from a customer's perspective, competition works out great for us. And it also makes me wonder, who's going to get acquired next? Provident was acquired by JM Bullion. JM Bullion was acquired by APMEX. Who's going to try to acquire APMEX at this point? I don't know if monopolizing is the right word to use in this context, but I feel like it's a pretty fair concern to address. And is it ever going to get to the point where there's only going to be one precious metal dealing website that we can get our silver and gold out? Just thinking out loud. Let me know your thoughts. But demand is clearly up. Now that we can actually take a look at some of the financial statements, we can see how their numbers are going up and up and up year over year. And by the way, I have a little bit of APMEX on screen right here. This is actually a silver round that I was never really overly familiar with. I never knew all that much about APMEX precious metals until maybe a year ago. And it's funny because I've had these silver rounds. I actually have several of them, but I was never overly familiar with APMEX precious metals. But as it turns out, they are some of the most recognizable silver rounds out there. And unfortunately, I don't have any JM Bullion branded or minted bars or rounds, but I do have this pack of Canadian maple leafs that I got from JM Bullion that I still haven't taken out of these little plastic flips. So I wanted to have a little bit of JM Bullion and a little bit of APMEX precious metals on screen right there. But I'm also very curious, everybody watching this right now, what do you think of this news? Is this good news? Is this bad news? Does it not really matter? Is it just a mere acquisition and none of us are going to be fazed by it in the slightest bit? Or is it a telltale sign that demand has been going through the roof? Demand is way up and doesn't seem to be slowing down. Does that mean that premiums are going to stay high? Does that mean that there will be less silver going around? Does that mean that more people are going to be getting involved in the silver and the gold, and more people are going to become aware of the power of precious metals? And it doesn't just have to go for silver, by the way. I know I have quite a bit of silver on screen, but I have a couple little pieces of gold over here as well, which we can also talk about. I also got some very interesting comments over the last couple of days, and that, believe it or not, that was supposed to be today's video. I wanted to talk about trading up. Silver for silver, believe it or not. Yesterday's video was talking about the gold-silver ratio, and I was going to respond to a comment that I had received talking about trading up silver for silver to save space. But I'll save that for potentially tomorrow's video. If you don't know what I mean by that, I'm not surprised, but I thought it was pretty interesting, and it wasn't really anything that I had ever thought of before, and I thought it was a pretty interesting comment, so I wanted to respond to it, but I'd rather make an entire video about that. But with a little bit of gold on screen right there, you can see obviously some fractional gold, some 10th ounce gold coins, a 1/4 ounce gold coin. And when it comes to the silver and the gold, between the two metals, if you ask the average Joe, if you ask just some random person in a store or a family member who doesn't really know much about wealth preservation with precious metals or what they're used for, or that stacking them is even a thing, if you run it by virtually anybody and ask them, choose between silver or gold, they're going to go with gold. They know that gold is valuable. They know that gold is more rare. They know that gold is, I guess potentially you could say, makes for beautiful jewelry. Whatever the case may be, if you ask somebody what do they know about silver, they're probably just going to tell you that it's a metal. A lot of people don't know much about silver, which is weird because silver is a super metal. Silver is a precious metal and an industrial metal at the same time, with over 10,000 different uses and in demand for all of these different industries. I mean, we have a global silver demand, the jewelry industry being the biggest player of the global silver demand, requiring hundreds of millions of ounces of silver. And it's also used in electronics, batteries, photography, medicine, cars. It's the most reflective metal on the planet. It's the greatest conductor of both heat and electricity. Yet nobody knows about silver. They know that it's a metal. They know what the color of silver is, but they don't know what it's used for. They don't know anything about it. Maybe they'll know a thing or two about silverware, but that's probably the end of it. So with silver being such a versatile metal, and with silver finally making the news last year when it cracked the $20 mark, and not only did it crack the $20 mark, it went to $21, $23, $25, $27, $29, all in a very short window of time. Silver hit a 6 or a 7-year high, and silver was getting headlines, silver was making the news, everybody was talking about silver, and then it seemed to fizzle out a little bit. A lot of people jumped on board, I'm assuming trying to make a quick buck. A lot of people jumped on board because everyone on the news was talking about it, and maybe stacking in their eyes was a trendy thing to do. But just like all other trends just die out. So those people aren't here anymore. But now with more news coming out, with more acquisitions, potentially a corporate merging, with one precious metal dealing, not just website, but company, corporation, being acquired by another, if you ask me, this is probably going to shake up the precious metal world. This is probably going to inform a whole new demographic of people about silver and gold. This is going to get people curious. This is going to get people wondering. This is going to get people researching. This is going to get people going on Google with the Cheeto dust on their fingers, asking, oh, what's silver all about? What's all this hype about? And they're going to stumble onto videos kind of like this one, and they're going to get a better understanding of the power of precious metals and why we're stacking it. We're not just doing it for our health, although technically there are health benefits, but we're not just doing it just because it's a thing to do. We're doing it because we feel like we need to, in a way. It's a hedge against inflation. It's a way of protecting ourselves financially. It's preserving our wealth for the long term. And as the spot price goes up, which one could argue that the spot price doesn't even go up. It might appear that it's going up, but oftentimes when spot price goes up, that just means the dollar bill went down, but we can't see because there's no fiat currency dollar bill spot price. We can't go on Google and say, hey, how much is the dollar worth today? Because the dollar is always going to be a dollar. What you can purchase with that dollar becomes smaller and smaller and smaller. And that's where silver and gold come into play. That's where the silver and the gold act as a hedge against inflation. Because as they print these things into oblivion, they get weaker and weaker and weaker. And I want nothing but the best for the dollar bill. I don't want a collapse of the dollar bill. I don't want any type of economic disaster. I mean, 2020 was an economic disaster enough. Imagine if it were to get worse for the dollar bill. I don't want that. Why would I want that? That would be bad news for everyone. So the silver and the gold, more people are going to discover what they are. More people are going to discover that we are doing what we're doing, and they're going to understand why we're doing it. Because let's be honest, if you shared one of my videos with just a random person with no context, you just sent them the link to one of my silver videos and they watched the whole thing, they're probably going to say,
what in the world is going on? There are people out there who are actually stacking little circular or rectangular pieces of metal for wealth preservation purposes? Why doesn't he just get a savings account?
People just don't understand. So now that more news is coming out, now that more information is beginning to surface, more people are going to learn and understand exactly what we're doing over here, and that's just going to cause the demand to go up even more. So I want you guys to head on down to the comments and let me know, what are your thoughts on everything going on in the world of silver and gold right now with the acquisition, JM Bullion being acquired by A-Mark Precious Metals? Do you see this as good news? Do you see this as bad news? Do you think that it doesn't matter at all and it's just simply news, not really relevant? Or do you think maybe it's not too relevant, but over the next couple of weeks, next couple of months, the ripple effect, it's going to become relevant. It's going to become talked about. It's going to become really popular. It's going to become much bigger news than what it appears to be right now. I want you guys to head on down to the comments and let me know anything and everything related to the precious metals. And if anybody's interested in joining the Precious Metals VIP Club, it's where I can do things on my own terms, not on YouTube's terms, my terms. I'm hosting privately held live streams. They're smaller, easier to manage. Don't forget, I will be going live tonight around 8 or 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, depending on what time this video gets out. I'm also doing giveaways, discounts, personalized promo codes, shout-outs, deal alerts when silver and gold's on sale on a variety of different websites. And of course, you can watch all my videos early and commercial-free. Come join the Precious Metals VIP Club. It'll be the first link in the description. You're invited. I'd be happy to have you. And if you guys enjoyed today's video, please hit that like button. If you guys like me, make sure to hit that subscribe button like a Karen hits a bus window. Also subscribe to my second channel, which is my backup channel, for exclusive weekly content. Brand new video over there. Go check it out. The link will be in the description. Trying really hard to hit 2,000 subscribers. We just hit 1,700, and I appreciate that. And if you want to help support the channel in the biggest possible way, please consider getting yourself some DYDSS merchandise. Of course, we have some precious metal themed t-shirts and hoodies, which are up for grabs, along with a ton of other products, t-shirts, hoodies, even stickers, many of which are raising funds and awareness for different charity organizations, such as the recently released Kraken Stackin' t-shirt, hoodie, sticker, and coffee mug, inspired by the beautiful 2-ounce silver Kraken coin, which, by the way, is helping us raise a little bit of funds and awareness for ocean cleanup charity organizations at no additional cost to you. It comes out of my pocket, not yours. Any and all merchandise can be found by clicking the first link in the description section down below. thank you in advance. It's more than appreciated. And I want you guys to head on down to the comments and let me know once again, what are your thoughts on everything going on in the world of precious metals right now with this recent acquisition? APMEX Precious Metals acquiring JM Bullion. Only about a year and a half after JM Bullion acquired Provident Metals. What are your thoughts on these type of acquisitions, especially with the amount of currency, the amount of fiat, the amount of dollar bills involved, $138.3 million for that remaining 79.5%. And also, by the way, if anybody is familiar or is under the impression or maybe knows for a fact if APMEX already owned 20.5%, head on down to the comments and let me know, because that's something that I'm not sure about. I did a little bit of research. I couldn't find the information I was looking for, but if you know, let me know. And also, when it comes to the demand for silver, not just the global silver demand, but when we look at the financial statements of some of these websites and some of these companies, and we see up 30% year over year, up 70% year over year, up 80% year over year, up 170% year over year, what does that tell you? Is that a little bit of a red flag? Is that a little bit of useful information, perhaps? Head on down to the comments and let me know anything and everything related to today's video topic. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you tomorrow. And remember, don't you dare stop smiling. Peace.